Hello, this is Catherine Burt, and we're back for part 3 of the Louise Marianetti lecture, concentrating on building a professional career from 1940 to 1959. In 1939, Marianetti returned back home to Providence, Rhode Island to forge an art career. While she did return briefly in 1943 to take a class at the Art Students League and maintained close contact with fellow New York colleagues, for the most part, she got down to work in her Rhode Island studio to create a body of paintings to exhibit that would establish a professional identity in her home state. Shown here in front of S.R. Burleigh's Fleur-de-Lis studio, she immediately gravitated to the historic center for artists in Providence, the Providence Art Club. Marianetti liked to work on several paintings at once. From 1942 to 1944, she completed a remarkable series of gouache works, starting with, at the Opera, Barbara Kerwin. Very much like the egg tempera media, she was attracted to gouache for its quick drying effects and ability to achieve precise detail. From this series, we understand that first and foremost, Marianetti decided on establishing her professional standing as a superb craftsman in the Providence arena. She submitted these gouache works to several competitive juried exhibitions, including the Providence Art Club, where she quickly became recognized by local art critics. In 1944, Frederick Sisson selected her painting Corsage for special praise. Quote, "One of the finest achievements in the exhibition is the painting Corsage. This painting, in which Miss Marianetti has rather ingeniously recorded her calling card both as a signature and as a balance in the design, is so carefully executed in small detail that it must be examined at fairly close range, as one would look at a drawing." End of quote. Russian and American Doll continued the gouache series, but we see at the same time Marianetti worked in egg tempera, as evidenced by this small portrait, Piccina. She not only continued to experiment and develop her technique in various media, but the image making evolves. Figures become ever so more complex and intense. Piccina reveals an almost possessed doll face, pushing the boundaries of the super real. Marianetti created challenging and frightening imagery. Louise clearly flaunted her technical skills, making sure she painted objects that were difficult to pull off on a two-dimensional flat surface, such as bottles, books, metal, leaves, and fabric. The hardworking artist built up her portfolio and resume during the 1940s, exhibiting at the Providence Art Club, the Contemporary Artist Gallery at the Arcade, the National Academy of Design, the Newport Art Museum, and the South County Art Association. Marianetti secured a three-person exhibit at the Providence Art Club in 1943, and in 1948 she exhibited an assemblage of paintings that she had labored over for 8 years at the Contemporary Artist Gallery in the Providence Arcade. Abandoned Shoes was one of the works shown at the Arcade and points to yet another transition for Marianetti. While still using egg tempera, Marianetti painted on a new surface, brown paper and craft paper. In addition, she relinquished the overall obsessive detail of earlier work and rather combined highly detailed juxtaposed against looser strokes and unpainted surfaces. 1949 was the year that brought Louise the recognition and success that she was working toward. Boston's Vose Gallery showcased Marianetti in a one-person show from March to April in 1949 on Newbury Street. Then she secured a Newport Art Association exhibit during the summer season from July to August, and ending the year in New York City at the Casa Italiano at Columbia University in December. There was a broad spectrum of work that Marianetti chose to exhibit for her big show. First, she covered all of the media that she enjoyed: the gouache series, the detailed egg tempera on board, as shown here in wooden figure, the looser egg tempera style on brown paper, and the layered transparent egg tempera on board. Second, while her figurative and still life compositions still dominated as subject matter, she unabashedly challenged the viewer with a range of emotional content within that imagery. The softer, translucent egg tempera technique was most effective on board, and Marianetti often reserved it for her sentimental side. Here, paintings of her sister Julia and friend Dorothea. However, sometimes she would use the layering technique to great effect with her mystical subject matter. She often seduces you into very gruesome imagery of suffering, death, and pain before you know it. On the right, Christ suffering with the objects of his torture, all ensconced in a little translucent jar. The excruciating details of betrayal by the whip, the spear, the cock crowing. Then we have the skull, a common symbol of death, here with a garland crown of petals and pink roses. What can Louise Marianetti be thinking? Let alone, what are we to think? Viewing this series of sad and disturbing images, the correspondence with her painter colleague and close spiritual advisor takes on a new meaning. Father Joseph Gagnon wrote on July 4, 1947, quote, "I think now you are beginning to find your true self. From now on, it's going to be about your heart and soul talking and not just your paintbrush," end of quote. Certainly, the Rhode Gallery exhibit definitely revealed a new body of brooding and mystical thoughts that Marianetti seemed anxious to bring into the public arena. These two images further evidence the powerful emotional content Marianetti was willing to explore, but how she keenly took full advantage of technique to achieve her goal. For example, the use of egg tempera on brown paper to get a scratchy, almost jumpy effect. The image on the right was crossed off the original Rhode Gallery exhibition list. It is unclear if Louise or a Rhode Gallery curator thought it was a little too gruesome for the exhibit. However, in all fairness, Marianetti did not just dwell on the macabre. In fact, she expressed a wide range of emotions and ideas in her paintings. These two works, Ballerina Backstage and Artist and Model, completed just before the Rhode Gallery exhibit, suggest that Marianetti settled into a comfortable rhythm with egg tempera, not too obsessive with detail, not too labor-intensive with layers and layers of tempera, but just right, taking advantage of both the detail and the transparent elements of the media, offering the opportunity to explore strong compositional elements in the painting, as well as continuing to create interesting narrative tableaus. When 1949 came to a close, it was a great year for Louise Marianetti. She had 3 major shows. She found a visual voice with range and a command of media to capture the complex thoughts and ideas she needed to express. She had great critical reviews in the Boston Herald, Art Digest, Christian Science Monitor, Boston Sunday Globe, Boston Weekly Guide, and the Providence Journal. But the most telling note came from her former RISD teacher and exceptional woman artist Eliza Gardner. Eliza wrote, quote, "Your exhibition was distinguished and most individual. You will surely be recognized nationally someday, and I feel sure it will be before many years." End of quote.